Welcome to the Lvio Candy's Music All-Stars Internet TV show with show host Steve Murray, brought to you live from the ISW's TV studios and Soundstage Theater on the sunny Indy Atlantic Florida beach. Now here's your show host, Steve Murray.
Hello and welcome to Lvio Candy's Music All-Stars. Yay! No clapping. I'll clap. All right. We got to work on it. There they are.
There we go.
Come
Thank
on
you.
in, audience. Come on.
in.
They just showed up now. Okay. Today we have Pete Martin. How you doing, Pete?
I'm doing great, Steve. Good to be
How's
here.
good? So, you're a rock and roller.
Yeah. Well, if actually anything that has to do with guitar, I like it. But rock is my favorite style of music.
Well, I've seen you play a few times, and you're really good.
Well,
I mean, you know, I remember the first crew jam a couple of years ago when you played, for a while.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Until you got warmed up and really could play.
Well, thanks, Steve. I'm glad you remember that. It does take a little warm-up time to perform. The pros do it, and we do it. We warm up when we can. And
now it's hard because most of the time you got to just go on stage, and it takes the whole first set to get warmed up, and the second set is really good.
Yeah.
It's not like when I up in New York where I had a back room, a stage room, where I could sit back there and play for a while and get my fingers warmed up, and then the first set was good. But we're lucky, now we just walking in and we're playing.
That's true. Well, I have done some of my best live performing at the crew jams. I've had some bloopers there as well, but it's live. Like the show here.
And it's a jam too.
Yeah, exactly. Not rehearsed.
Yeah. So that's been going on for like 20 years or so now. That's run by Nancy Rizzola, if you're out there. You've been running that for about 20 years.
10 or 15 years. They're at last crew jam I was at was crew jam 21, but sometimes they do 2 or 3 a year.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think it's been 20
and
years.
Jim
but
Griffin and his wife Karen Griffin got all the acts for the last gig, the last crew jam.
And that started because my long-term friend Nancy Rizzola, she kept saying, "Well, you teach guitar and you play guitar." My brother's a great guitar player with band Steelheart, and that's Chris Rizzola. And we finally got Chris up here, and then we just kept growing and bigger, and we got a lot of different bands coming out. And
people from California. Chris's
concert.
Nancy's brother, everything came out. Yeah, it was a good one this year too. I didn't get to play that long either. By the time we got to play, it was daylight, and then all of a sudden dark. And then the mosquitoes were out, and there was no lights. So, when we pulled up our cars to get our equipment out of there, they used the headlights to get out. Right. But we got in a few songs. So, you've been playing the guitar since what? How old did you start?
My first introduction to music, my brother he played drums in this thing called, we lived in the D.C. area at the time, the Washington, D.C. suburbs, and my brother played in a band, played in this group called the Virginia Patriots. It was a drum and fife corps. He took drum lessons from Sam Evans, Air Force Airman of Note, is the Air Force's top jazz band, and he was the drummer for that, and my brother took drum lessons from him. My brother taught me rudiments on the drum pad. So my first music teacher was my brother, teaching me drum rudiments. And then I got a little toy guitar about yay big. Okay, it came with an instruction manual on how to play half a dozen open chords and songs like Down in the Valley, and I learned how to play all those open chords and play the notes in the songbook. My brother helped me figure out, because I'm in second grade about that time, helped me figure out how to read the charts. And then I got a guitar teacher at fourth grade. In fourth grade, I had my first real guitar teacher, and it was a lady who taught at a lady who was played at our church. She played folk music at the church in Annandale, Virginia, where we lived. And then when I moved down here, I got an electric guitar teacher because I wanted to play electric guitar.
Of course, yeah.
And I took electric guitar from a jazz guitarist who's still in this area named Phil Dickey, Dickey.
Okay. Phil Dickey.
Yeah. And like me, Phil also plays the saxophone, so that's something we had in common. I learned to play the saxophone in 7th grade.
I think a saxophone and a lead guitar solos are pretty close.
Well, they have similarities, and
I try to copy a lot of saxophone solos on my guitar solos.
really, I haven't done that. But the thing about the saxophone is the saxophone was invented for the concert band. First, there were symphony orchestras.
Yes.
And with a symphony orchestra, you've got string instruments.
Yeah.
Well, they wanted something louder for outside or for a marching situation, so they created this hybrid between a brass instrument and a string instrument, the a woodwind reed instrument called the saxophone. It was made out of brass. You played it with a reed, and you're supposed to make your sax sound like a violin initially. Now, they have their own sound to them, and you can get all kinds of sounds out of a saxophone.
Yeah, a lot of times to me it sounds almost like a distorted guitar.
Yeah, and so it was initially designed to emulate a string instrument.
Yeah, and then later on, the electric guitar is almost emulating a saxophone.
Yeah.
Because that had that distorted sound. When the first distortion pedals came out, it kind of emulated that. To me, as a kid, I was like, it kind of sounds like a saxophone.
I really never thought of it quite that way, but that is a cool thing. I have heard of other guitarists, though, saying, well, I want to learn to play my guitar like a piano.
Yeah.
Or I want to learn to play my guitar like a saxophone, like you said, yeah.
Yeah, I just pick up on some saxophone solos, because there's a lot of sax solos in different songs, but I seem to be able to emulate it easy enough on the guitar, what they're doing.
Right. Now
the sound is almost there, you know.
Right. Now the thing with the sax, you can only play one note at a time. It's got a limited range. It's linear because as you lift your fingers up, you go to the next note. But then they tend to play maybe more comfortable playing arpeggios than most guitarists are.
Yeah.
And you can play arpeggios faster on the saxophone.
Yeah. And how are you?
Unless you're doing the finger tapping.
How are you on that sweep picking and all that? I have a hard time with
I
that.
practice it all the time,
Me too.
and sometimes I rip a rip off. But I do a riff in the middle of a solo. I'm not going to do a whole solo of sweep picking.
Yeah.
Not a whole solo of sweep picking, at least not yet. But I will rip off an arpeggio. I could grab a guitar and show you, but the kind of thing. So you want me to do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Can I walk over there without? I'm tethered. Let me get over here and grab this thing. I mean, I could do a, the sweep.
He is a guitar teacher, so.
The sweep picking is a technique. Frankly, I haven't practiced enough to get down really well. Down, down, up. So I mean, we can all do it. We can all do that. We can all do that.
Yeah.
I'm not used to this guitar, and here we go.
Right.
And I'm too close to the table.
Put on the siren.
And I'm rotating around.
What is that clapping? Audience.
Actually, I got this off of Frank Gambale's one of my favorite guitarists, and I got a chance to meet Frank at a show that he did in Orlando, along with Vinnie Vincent and the guy from the Cars.
Oh, your mic fell off. Uh-oh. We can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
This is for the blooper show. There it is.
There it is.
All right. Somebody's laughing.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're pretty loud.
All right. Okay, so.
Do you know this one?
Yeah, I know. I played on the guitar, I think. I played it a couple times. There we go. Okay. Are we back now? All right.
Okay.
Yeah, so I learned that little riff off a a video from that Frankie Gumbali has. He does a little bit on sweep picking. So that's where, if you really want to get into sweep picking, I'll refer you to him. He's done a lot of instructional material, some videos, and some
I've been watching
books.
A few, and so basically it's more in this hand. I know how to play this.
It's getting it evenly. I'm a stickler for timing, so when I'm doing this, I want to get it perfect, you know.
Like a rake.
Yeah, it's like a rake. Essentially, it is.
Yeah.
It's a fast pick sweep. Anyway, enough of that.
Yeah. Well, I know that's something that you have to practice all the time.
Well, it's a weakness of mine.
It's a weakness of mine too. You know,
So
I keep on that. I do a little of that before I play it.
There was a time when I couldn't finger tap very well, and frankly, I took I messed around with it. I just couldn't get it down. And there's this guy who plays around here. He's in the band Panama. It's a lot of friends of mine in that band that I've been in different bands with. Panama, Lou Angelito. I've played with Lou in Bravo Hotel and the precursor of Rocket. Some other local bands that have done really well. And so.
Well, we're going into our first break now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, audience, let's give Pete Martin a clap here, and we'll be back in a few minutes. We're going to watch a video and our sponsors.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Lvio Candy's Music All-Stars after this short break. Radio Candy's Music All-Stars.
All right. Thank you, audience. We're back with Pete Martin. And let's continue what we were talking about.
Right. Well, I was talking about the finger tapping, and at one point in my playing, I'd already been teaching about 10 years, but I was struggling with the finger tapping, and I saw this guy Ken Tomasello who plays the finger tapping really well.
He plays with the band Panama.
So I went. He plays with the band Panama. Yeah, and so I went and got some lessons from. Let's hear for Panama. So. Yeah. I took some lessons from Ken just to get the finger tapping down, and he also taught me a little bit about developing my own style of playing, since I had done all this transcribing off of records. I would learn solos and guitar parts exactly like the record. At least that's what I thought at the time. Exactly like the record, as close as it could get it, and that's one of the things that made me a good player. But then how do you find your own voice? And Ken helped me a little bit.
Yeah,
and I passed that on.
To
my
me,
students.
I got that kind of with jamming,
right?
With
that too, yeah.
Neighborhood people, like everybody played something, and I had a drum set in the basement, so I would just get somebody that could play the drums. And bass player that could play 3 notes and let me play D, C, and G. That's good enough for me to play guitar solo on.
Right.
And then I would just and we'd play for hours.
Cool. Yeah.
And just change it up. The song would change, whatever would change into different styles because we're playing it so long. It would just start, and everybody got better. And then I got into the cassette player thing where I had 2 cassette players. I recorded myself on one going dun 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 dun. Put a whole 30-minute side, and then I put it in the other cassette
unlike
player.
the little cassette players, like like that, right? With a condenser mic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you played it back as you played your other part on there and recorded that. And then you put that one back over there, and you just continued on until it sounded like a big pilot noise. But it was the start. I knew what I was going to do as a kid. Because I didn't even want to go to school.
Right.
I didn't even want to,
I had this thing in 8th grade. I felt like I had the decision of my lifetime to make in 8th grade, whether to play music full time or whether to do a traditional career. And I chose traditional career. So I've got all these degrees and all this work experience, and I just keep floundering in that. And, I fall back on music, and this saves me, Yeah. And then it's like hurt me some more because I really enjoy the music to begin with, But I realize now that I just made the wrong choice in 8th grade. I really did. And but it's never too late.
I kind of did too when I was in my 20s. I got the job and was all into working and making money at that. And the music went by the wayside for a while, but it's inbred, I think, because it comes back. As soon as I got any amount of money saved up, what was I doing? I was down in the music store buying a new guitar.
Right, me too.
Looking at amps or whatever. I only worked the other job to get the money to buy my other stuff.
That's right, exactly.
I had to have a goal. My goal was I want that new Fender Stratocaster. It's $900. I'm going to work hard until I get that. And then after I work overtime and everything to buy that thing, and then as soon as I get it, I'm sick. I can't come in for a few days. I got my new guitar. Then I didn't even care if I got fired after that. Because then I would go back into the music thing, and then how poor you are in music.
Yep.
So then I'd have to take a job back again, to make it up. During the 80s and the early 90s, I made a good living in it.
Right.
But then after, maybe around 95 or 6.
Well, I enjoy teaching also, and that has helped me a lot with staying.
I don't know what I'm doing,
financially.
right? Be able to teach. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I just learned from albums like you did, and I'm not sure what that thing I called a rake. I just saw that on YouTube the other day. I said, I've been playing that for years. That's what it's called, a rake. Because
Right.
people were saying, "Oh, a rake," but now it makes sense to me when I'm going like that. Yeah, it feels like a rake.
Right.
Pulling back and forth on it. But I've been
Sweep picking is another term
yeah,
for
in
it.
a
Right.
sweet. But in a short sense like that, just going on maybe 3 notes, going blip, 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 and I'd hear Jimmy Page doing that way back then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, on the 3 notes, going blip, 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 blip. Because guys were doing it long before.
Yeah.
You know, before the guys mastered it. You know, with Yngwie Malmsteen and all those guys.
Right.
Richard
Well,
Blackmore.
yeah. Yngwie took it to another level.
And his favorite guy was Richie Blackmore.
Right.
That only touched on it a little bit.
Right.
And then he picked it up from that. But so, what's going on now?
Oh well, I'm playing in a few weeks. I'm playing at not a week and a half. I'm playing June 15th at a private gig. I've got a band called Trace Embrace, but at this particular gig, I'm sitting in with a Stevie Legend out of Titusville, and he's a keyboard player. He plays a lot of different styles of music, which I like. But he plays the Deep Purple stuff off the Machine Head, just like the record. And so I'm looking forward to that because there's a couple of and he sings the song too. So he sings the song too. So there's a couple of solos. I'm the kind of person that's like, well, unless I have a band to play for or some kind of performance, I don't learn the solo necessarily. Couple of my favorite solos I'm going to work up just for this one show because I finally get a chance to perform with a keyboard player who wants to do it. Yeah, Highway Star is another one I'd like to do, but you do a nice job with that one. But you know when I first got interested in electric guitar was my brother had an 8-track tape. You remember he taught me the drum stuff. And he said, listen to this. And he plugs in this Johnny Winter Saints and Sinners. And I hear this sound. And I don't know what it is. I'm like, what is that? What's making that? I'm like 5 or something. What's making that sound? And that's an electric guitar. He said, no way. I just couldn't believe that cool sound was the same sound coming out of the acoustic guitar at church. And I'm like, I want to play electric guitar. I already decided I want to play guitar, but I want to play electric guitar. And I heard Johnny Winter Saints and Sinners album, Bunny Maroney and what is it? Bad Luck Situation. Those solos in there are outrageous. They're outrageously fast, and they're all picked.
Yeah, he was one of my favorite guys. I mean, I was maybe 11 or something when Johnny went there, but I had older friends that played guitar, and I said, Steve, you gotta listen to this guy. And I still listen to him today, because he's raw.
But I'll tell you though, I've been going around I've been practicing with different bass players, practicing with different drummers. I've played gigs here and played gigs there. I really would like to have a band that's a 3-piece core that can expand to a 4 or 5-piece, and I'm about ready to hang that up and just go join a band that's already formed because it's tough pulling it all together.
Yeah, I've been through it. I always going through it, but within the band, within the 3 of us, we've been together for 7 years, so it's really just like Bill left for a while when he was sick, but he found a replacement bass
for
player.
Himself. Yeah, that's good.
He had to leave because he was sick, so he found another bass player for us, and we had him. And
your
then
drummer
Bill
Chris,
got
I played in a band with him years ago, and he's
left.
great now. He's super good. A couple of guys I played with in a band called Sandspur are both in AC/DC tribute bands now, and they were drummers in the Sandspur band. I tend to be hard on the drummer, and I really want the timing just right.
Me too.
And so a lot of the drummers that I used to work with are in really good bands now. I'm not going to take sole credit for it. I mean, but I think I had a positive influence to some degree.
I think I did too, because I played the drums too, and I learned all the rudiments because I joined the drum corps at 11 years old, and I was taught all the rudiments, and I had to wear the snare drum on my leg, and plus march and spell out letters
Right.
in big football stadiums, before games. So I knew all that music from that. I didn't know anything about the guitar, but that helped me with drummers later on.
So you didn't learn guitar until after you got out of high school?
No, I was about 14.
14, yeah.
Where my cousin was bought a guitar, and he never used it, so he left it at my house. And after school, the Monsters would be on and those shows, and I started picking up those songs and on the guitar. And then I said, wow, I kind of like this. And I already knew all the Grand Funk songs on the drums.
Right.
And they were drilled into my head. I knew every guitar sound and everything from playing it over and over again on the drums. So I just started learning all those songs on the guitar. And that gave me a good rock foundation. Mm-hmm. Because it was basic guitar, bass, and drums, and that's it, and singing. Their first few albums sound like they recorded in a basement or something.
Right.
But that's a real band playing. And then you can see on YouTube now them playing Inside Looking Out when they were 20 years old, and they are good.
They're good, yeah. I saw Mark Farner live, and I got to talk with him, too. He was touring as Mark Farner. And he had the bass player from Pat Travers, Pearl, the studio bass player who played on Black Pearl album of Pat Travers was with him.
Wow.
And a guy from Spain, I can't remember his name, but you could look it up. But I love that album, and of course Rodney O'Quinn is a good friend of ours locally. Yeah. He lives in Melbourne. He plays for Pat Travers now.
I
travels the world with Pat.
2 weeks ago at the Lone Cabbage. Rodney O'Quinn, I know you're out there jamming right now with Pat Travers. I think you're in Texas or somewhere.
And Rodney's...
I'm following along with you on Facebook. You're telling us, where you are. So I think you're in Texas now.
First time I met Rodney was he showed up to do a gig with me, and on a Thursday night at a local place, he did a gig with me, and the next day, bam, he was on the road to play with Pat.
I think he's saying something to me. I didn't have my earpiece in.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, you were? All right. Okay, we'll be back in a few minutes right after these messages and a video of, I guess, me. Oh, it's Dave Hershey with me and my band, GS Teasers. So come back in a couple of minutes and we'll stay and watch the video. Okay, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Lvio Candy's Music All-Stars after this short break.
Blues, how you doing out there tonight? All right, we're working on that. If you take a little bit more, you'll be doing good, I promise. So, gentlemen, now let's do this. All stars calling out, nothing is real. You'll never know just how I feel. Now in the shadow, she walks like a dream. Space filled, please feel so mean.
back to Lvio Candy's Music All-Stars.
Welcome back. We just tried to get Kenny Rhino Earl on Skype, but there was a bad connection right now. We're going to schedule him back next week because we have a bad connection. It's kind of echoing, and we don't want to try to understand him. So we don't want to do him a disservice. So we're going to have him back next week on Tuesday. Okay, we're back with Pete Martin. So we don't need to Pete either.
Well, I'm sorry we missed Kenny, but we'll see him next week.
Yeah, we wanted to talk to you.
He's a great drummer, and got to see him play at the Crew Jam we were talking about earlier.
It was like,
with
and
Jack
I
Starr.
jammed with him many times, and he's a great singer too.
And Jack Starr's an amazing guitar player, and
Yep.
I'm sure
I know
the
him
studio audience
from Long
has seen him on YouTube and whatnot.
Yeah.
And
Jack Starr, you're great.
Yep. Now,
Put this down.
I've got some students. You know, one of the things I tell people sometimes is that, you know, how if I'm talking to a potential client about taking lessons, how well I play doesn't really matter. You know, what matters is how far that I can take you towards reaching your dreams on the guitar. And I've got some students that have really just done very well and play semi-pro
And you have one
and
of
pro.
them here right now. Huh?
I have one of my students here now. Vince came to me as an advanced player somewhere on the crux of semi-pro, pro, and he's taken lessons from me. And he's a very bright young man, and I think he's got a lot of talent. He might be a jazz rock fusion player. He could certainly be a shredder rock guy, and maybe hit the jazz charts. So I'm hoping that he takes it to the next level, and we're working with him on that. I had another student of mine who had a band, Comer. We produced the album. The album was great. It didn't sell, unfortunately, but he now has an amplification company in Tennessee. He designs and makes his own amps, and his name is Craig Wildenrot. Oh, dang nabbit. And I hadn't planned on talking about it. Now I don't have it in front of me. But Craig Wildenrot is his name. It's
Well, when I was out there recording with Troy Lucetta from Tesla,
yeah.
there was a Tesla. There was an amp that was made there in Nashville, and I was just wondering if it was the same guy. I didn't want to mention
I'll have
the name
dang
brand
nabbit.
that
Now I'm going to have to get it back to you.
I
on it,
used
but
in his studio was Splawn, and they were made there.
if anybody's a Facebook friend of mine, then you can look up Craig Wildenrat and find his company on there. He's also one of my likes. But
Yeah.
I've got now there's a duo out there called West 10, and these are two of the guys from Red Tide. Red Tide won the 2012
Oh yeah.
Cover Band of the Year
Yeah.
award with Brevard Live magazine.
They know of us. They used to come and see us at Snake Eyes.
And three of those guys took lessons from me on
okay.
guitar, and also I had Corbin Nappy for a while playing drums as a three-piece with me. He took lessons as a guitar student, and I said, you know, Corbin, I need a drummer, and he kept saying he wanted to learn drums. So he took a few lessons, he picked it up right away, and we started doing some gigs. And then he got in with Brandon Rapone, and Adam Sikora had been playing, and Adam came and took lessons from me for about a year.
And Red Tide, they're still together.
Yeah, the Red Tide is
Red
Adam's
Tide.
band.
Go check them out.
Adam is a world-class guitarist, I think. World-class rock guitarist.
I've known Red Tide for
You
a
put-
while. They used to come and see my band when we were Snake Eyes back in like 2009 or so.
And Brandon Rapone and Corbin Nappy also play guitar exceptionally well. Now they're doing a duo, and you can see them in the Cocoa Beach and Orlando areas.
Oh, cool.
And then I've got there's another, Chris Call has been playing full-time since he graduated with his MBA from Rollins. He's been playing full-time. He performs around the state. He wrote several albums. He does acoustic and vocals. And then there's a band, Inner Outlaws, that Ian Dudley from Rockledge plays with in New York City.
Oh.
So these are all
students.
They're students from former students of mine. Just some of them have done exceptionally well, and I really enjoy their music and their concerts. I go to see them, and I go, "Wow, that's good." Wish I could play like that. No, I've taught them every mistake I do. I taught them not to make, so they're actually they execute better than I do sometimes live.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, let's hear it for these guys.
Yep.
Audience. No worries.
Yeah. There we go.
Thank you, T-Lee.
We were talking earlier. We were gonna talk about some couple of anecdotes or funny stories, right? One of the things I talked to Steve about, we were saying maybe we could talk about some occupational hazards. About how. And then I started thinking, the woe is me stuff, like I got a blister on my thumb, or I broke up with my girlfriend because I practiced too much, or something like that,
Yeah, that happened a couple of times.
I'm like, okay.
You like that guitar better than me. Yep.
But I was talking with my friend Barry Givens, a drummer, and I also went to high school with him, and we were in marching band together. So Barry Givens was telling me how he tripped on stage one time and banged his face up hitting the cymbals and everything. That reminded me of this story I was telling you before we got on set about my brother played the drums, and I was about yay high, and I'm running through the recreation room downstairs where his drums set up, and I trip, and wham, the top of the hi-hat stand goes right up the nose.
Oh my God.
That's a hazard. So, be careful out there playing in your bands. You got all kinds of hazards.
Don't touch the guitar strings and the microphone. Get electrocuted, especially in the old days when you only had the 2-prong plugs.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. Yeah, I had the sockets were wired different. I'm singing through a guitar amp or something. Actually, I took a headphone and put it around like this and used it as a microphone. Because he's singing to a speaker, it's a mic, right? Yeah. And I'm singing through a guitar amp that's plugged into one socket, my guitar's in another. All of a sudden, there's this I hear this sound, and two puffs of smoke go up. One right over my pickups, and one over my nut. And I turn around, I got string burn marks on my my hand,
so you got
and my nut melted on my guitar.
Wow. Jeez, you closed the circuit. So how did that feel?
Yeah, well, it was. We did.
Did it make you play a little faster?
I looked up and I realized what happened, and I started laughing. But
a human breaker.
Not living in Florida with all the lightning strikes, man, I had a lightning strike come out of the wall about this far one time when I was in my room.
Really?
And yep. You ever take the be careless plugging in a plug, and you got your thumb on the?
Oh yeah.
That happened once. Yeah. That was it. That hurt.
Oh my
That
God.
scared me too. That was it. Exactly.
Yep. All right. Good to Groove Music.
Oh, Good to Groove Music. That's Good to Groove Music. It was formed by Ed Eliason, and I'm a sales associate, and not on paper a partner, but we work as a partnership, and we really enjoy working with each other. And we provide all kinds of different musical merchandise at a very reasonable value because we're low overhead. We're a mobile music shop. We are based out of industrial location in Cape
Keep
Canaveral.
some guitar strings on you and show up at gigs.
Well, yeah, I mean, driving around, I usually do have some merchandise on me, so not a whole lot, but what we do is we do bulk orders, and so you don't have to have a bulk order, but we bulk order. And
Ed Eliason, he's going to be on Inside the Soundwave
Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Thursday night.
Oh, this Thursday at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. And he's a percussionist. He's got he does world percussion, He started on the trap set. He's got a really long history. He's well, 4 or 5 years older than me, right, Ed? And but he's got a lot of experience playing in Nashville and Philadelphia and down here, and he's a wealth of knowledge. He's got tons of instruments from around the world, percussion, yeah. So if you want to, if you need some supplies, give us a call. Yeah. Also, we do lessons, we do drum circles. So, and I operate my teaching business under Martin's School of Music. You can just call me directly for lessons, 506-3033.
And we're probably going to have a banner on of it.
Yeah, we're going to have a banner on that. And
on this,
you can email me too, and the email will be on the banner. And then
and it'll be on the future shows for the upcoming shows for the next month or so.
I hope to get where I can do some lessons video, then I can reach people around the country and around the world through doing some Skype.
You're
type
around the world
teaching.
right now, believe
right.
me. Yeah.
Right. So
we're live.
I don't have my guitar lessons set up that way yet, so that's the next level for me.
Is there you have phone numbers and a .com?
Okay.
I have phone numbers and an email, a Gmail.
Can you give them a website or?
The only website I'm operating under now is my Facebook website. So that's
is that a like page?
That's Pete PeteMartin. Pete Martin. I don't know how to do it. Facebook. Pete Martin on Facebook. Also have, please like Martin's, Martin ''S, Martin's School of Music. Please like Martin's School of Music. That is on Facebook. Thank you. That would be fantastic. And you can see videos and, well, not videos. You can hear recordings of my students playing on there, and some videos of my beginner and intermediate, my 3 to 6 month students playing together in band situations on video. You can see that on there. And then there are recordings on there of some of my other students who've gone on to play professionally as adults.
All right. So are you going to play the guitar and play a...
I can jam around a little bit. You know, we had talked about that.
Let's see some jamming on the but it'll be right after this break, so you can...
Oh, okay. All right.
So you can tell another joke.
tell another joke. Oh, boy. These two strings walk into a bar. No, that's...
See, look. The audience loves it. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes, and we'll watch another video and our sponsors, and we'll be back, and we'll watch Pete Martin play the guitar. See you in a minute.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Lvio Candy's Music All-Stars after this short break.
talking crazy, you gotta go over to this side. That's the party section right goddamn there. No, that's not the party section. Where else is the party section? Over there? That's the party section? I don't know, it's a rival. Let's try this. Let's try party section against party section. This is party section 1. That's party section 2. Let's see how this works out. Party section 1, let me hear you scream! It's gonna be tough to beat. It's gonna be tough to beat. Are we ready? Party section 2, are you ready back there? And when I say 2, I mean I think we only got 2. So if you guys want to give them a hand, I think they're gonna need it. Here we go. Party section 2, let me hear you scream! I don't like to choose too many sides. Why don't you guys go recruit a couple people? You're gonna need some help. Go help the party section 2 out, guys. Party section 1! Party section 2! With some help from this guy right here. Okay, I'm not going to choose sides. So guess what? Nobody wins. I can do that because I got a microphone. I win, dear, always. Over here on the left-hand side of me, laying down the bass line, we got Mr. Bill Whitson. That's actually when you guys are supposed to clap. So just know that for the next time. I moonlight as a comedian, so you're supposed to laugh as well. Right here behind me, laying down the drum line, we got Mr. Chris Richardson! It's getting better. It's getting better. Over here on this side, the long blonde haired guy. And no, not me. We got the guitar god, Mr. Stephen Mary! And we're doing like a cover thing here. We're covering some vocals, so we got a couple of guys that's been up for singing, one of them including myself. We got Mr. Dave Hersey right here. Everybody give it up for Dave and the song he's singing. And if you want to know who the good-looking blonde-haired guy is on the mic, I've already announced Bill. It's not me. My name is Tim Griffin. Behind me is GSTC. We're going to do a clap.
back to Lvio Candy's Music All-Stars.
Hi, I'm Pete Martin, and it's great to be a guest here on the Lvio Candy Show with host Steve Murray. Oftentimes I come ask the question, well, who's my favorite guitar player? What are my influences? And I don't have a favorite because there's so many great ones. But if anyone asks me who I think the most influential electric guitarist is, I always say Jimi Hendrix, because there are players out there who don't play, who maybe never even listened directly to Hendrix or learned any of Hendrix's songs, but they learned songs from people who did. And so there might be a band that they don't list Jimi Hendrix as their influence, but they'll list maybe I don't know, Robin Trower. Okay, Robin Trower is their influence. Or even Stevie Ray Vaughan, or even someone more recent from the '90s, like the Wallflowers or something. I don't know. So probably not a good example. But anyway, here we go. I think that Hendrix is the most influential guitarist because people who didn't learn from Hendrix often learn from someone who did. So here's a little bit of one of his songs that I like, "Wind Cries Mary." And the solo, thank you. The solo in the middle is really fantastic, and unfortunately I don't have it in my memory banks right now. It was something I learned at one time, and I've had some students that I've taught the whole song all the way through. Another song that I like is a song by Van Halen. Of course, everybody knows Eruption, and then there's Hot for Teacher. I'll play a little bit of the intro of that song. It's anyway, a little bit of that intro to that song. Now, one of my students I mentioned earlier, Brandon Rapone, played the whole song all the way through, note for note, both solos. And there's 2 lengthy solos in that song in addition to the intro. And he nailed it. And I worked with him on it. I taught him how to read the music, how to read the rhythms. He got the tablature. He worked on it like hours for weeks. We would meet, and then I'd say, okay, what section are you having problems with? I never learned it. Didn't have the time with the other things I was doing as an adult and with the 45 other students I was teaching a week at the time. So, but he learned how to play it, and I gave him the skills to do it. So it's the concept is you don't just teach a person how, you don't just give a person a fish, right? You teach them how to fish. And so that's what we try to do. And now here's another, I'll play a little bit of one other song if we got time. And This is a song that I like. I just happen to like it. And it's a Stevie Ray Vaughan song. I don't play it just like Stevie Ray. I kind of slop it, to be quite honest. But well, you heard about love that gives sight to the blind. My baby loving 'cause the sun does shine. She's my sweet little thing. She's my pride and joy. She's my sweet little baby. I'm her little lover boy.
All right.
All right.
Thanks. That was
Thank
great.
you. Okay.
Thanks for being on the show. I hope you can see our heads. Here we are.
Thanks for having me, Steve. I really
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
being on the show. And Kenny Earl, we'll see you next week. And have a great week, everybody. Peace, love, like I always say. See you later.